Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we actually have a really fun, exciting, random product, and it's the Nintendo Alarmo. In case you didn't know, Nintendo came up with an alarm clock, which was a very confusing move because we all expected a new Switch, but we got this instead. I'm actually really surprised Nintendo made this, but there's a lot that makes this alarm clock interesting. So I've been living with the Alarmo, and I've actually learned quite a lot about it. I first thought that this was going to be a device for Nintendo fans and diehards, and I would not call myself a diehard, but I definitely am a fan. I've learned that this is for children, and that's gonna be the theme of this video. This alarm clock, shocking enough, is for children, and if you're an adult, I honestly don't know if you're really going to like this. So right off the bat, we have a very cute alarm clock. It is smaller than I thought. It always has to be plugged in, which is why I have the world's longest USB-C cord. And the cord at the end is USB-C, which is nice. And it's got this circular watch face and this button up top that lights up. It also has two buttons for navigation. It has a back button and it has a mail notification button. The screen on the front, even though the cutout is circular, the actual screen itself is rectangular, which is a confusing choice on Nintendo's part. I kind of wish that they had just made this more of a rounded rectangle to fit the screen better, or put in an actual circular display, because that would have been really cool. So the build quality and the design is great. The screen is not the brightest and you cannot see it at most angles, so you really do have to be looking head on. For $99, this alarm better do a lot, and in some ways it does and in some ways it doesn't. So you have the display and it shows the time and the theme of the characters that you've chosen. You can choose multiple different themes, from Pikmin to Super Mario Odyssey to Ring Fit Adventure, and in the future there's actually going to be more themes coming to this alarm clock that you can download over Wi-Fi. The clock does connect to Wi-Fi, and the only reason why it connects to Wi-Fi is so you can download new themes for alarms and for the screensaver. When you connect to Wi-Fi, it doesn't automatically set the time or do anything else, and there's no app, so there's no connecting it to your phone. On one hand, I actually really like that, but on the other hand, getting information off this device is kind of difficult. So besides just being a Nintendo branded alarm clock, it actually is a rudimentary sleep tracker. And some parts of this, I actually really like the way Nintendo has done this. You have a couple of different menus off of the records section of the settings. So the first one is sleep records, and this will show you how long you actually stayed in bed based off of the clock's radar sensor that is built into the device. This is great because you don't have to wear another device or connect to a larger tech conglomerate company and share your data. It's Nintendo, I trust them with my data, and you can't really do much with it, so it's just an idea of how your sleep is. It is not by any means scientific or detailed. After your sleep records, you can press the button on the top and you see your wake up records. Now, I've actually never gotten this to work because I always dismiss the alarm by tapping the button up top, and if you do that, it does not record your wake up time specifically. I don't know why the clock does this. They really want you to use the automatic smart wake up alarm dismissal system, and the way that that works is when the alarm starts going off, when you move, it'll make a couple of noises to communicate that you are moving, and it recognizes that, and then when you get out of bed, that is when the alarm actually turns off. Now, if you're an adult that sleeps with somebody else in the bed, like me with my partner, that is kind of annoying because you might not be waking up at the same time as your partner, and slowly turning around and waking up and hearing the coin sound from Super Mario is not, like, as much as I love Mario, it's not exactly what I want to hear to wake up in the morning. It's not exactly trying to get me out of bed. The third record that you have access to is the movement record, and this one I think is actually very interesting, and I kind of wish like Google at the Nest Hub would do something similar. This just shows you a record of how much you have moved in front of the clock, just in general. So that way you can see basically how much time you have spent in bed, which I actually think is a really smart idea, especially because a lot of sleep trackers have a difficult time understanding when you are in bed and awake versus when you are in bed and asleep. And in this case, it's not really drawing any comparison. It is just showing you when you were moving and when you were in front of the clock, which is pointing at your bed. The inclusion of sleep tracking features is actually very interesting to me because in a small way, Nintendo is gamifying sleeping, which is what most trackers do, but then you can't do anything with this data. You can go back in time up to a year and see your sleep records, but you can't put them on a bigger screen and you can't export them or do anything with this information. So to me, this is a really great intro for children to be able to understand how much they sleep and how much time they spend in bed, and the interface is really easy to navigate. Something I think Nintendo's done really well is the interface is very simple, and you do almost all of the navigation by turning this button up at the top. So you can see I'm changing the volume right there, and the speaker sounds great. Everything was really easy to understand when I took it out of the box. The dial button up top actually lights up when you do different things and when your alarm goes off, which is just a fun touch, especially because you can dismiss the alarm by tapping this button on the top. And if you're really groggy in the morning or your room's really dark, it just makes it easier to find that button. The clock has the ability to actually chime every single hour in case you want that. I've turned that on and it was just confusing. I thought that my phone kept ringing from the other room. And it also has sleep sounds built in. The sleep sounds are very interesting because you actually have to set when your approximate bedtime is, and then the hourly chimes will not play, any notifications will not play after that time. And then when you get into bed and it senses that you are in bed, it will start to play those sleep sounds. The sleep sounds are a nice addition. I would not say it's a reason to buy this device, especially because the ability to understand if you're in bed or not could be a hit or miss. And you have to set that bedtime setting pretty accurate to when you're going to get into bed, so that way it works most of the time. If you have a really consistent sleep schedule, then this might be easy for you. If you don't, like me, then it's just not something I would ever use. Something that's also interesting about the clock is actually the clock face is based off of your alarm theme. So like I mentioned before, there's a bunch of different themes you can choose from. I've chosen Zelda, and something I've noticed that's kind of interesting is the actual character on the clock face will move based off of where it thinks you are in front of the clock. This is a little less interesting and compelling when this is going to be in front of your bed, but I did notice when I get into bed, the character would move from the left to right because it noticed that I was moving in that direction. It was just a small way to like let you know that it's able to track you and makes it interactive, but it's not particularly charming because when you're in bed, you're usually not moving very much. So that's the Nintendo Alarmo. It is expensive. It is $99. You can get so many other sleep trackers or smart home devices for less than that or around that price. So I would say my suggestion is if you are a huge Nintendo fan and you like the limited amount of themes, you like Ring Fit Adventure, you like Pikmin, you like Zelda, and you want to see a Zelda theme on your alarm clock and you like the design, get it. Otherwise, this is going to be a great gift, most likely for children. It is a great intro into a smart home tech for them that kind of communicates in their world into their themes. And the device is private. There's no mics built in, there's no external data that can be shared, and there's not really much else you can do with it. So if you have a child that is really interested in smart home tech or understanding their sleep better, or they just want a fun alarm clock, this is definitely a fun alarm clock, and it's a nice little expensive gift. I will say, for everything I've said about this alarm clock, I'm actually very happy to see that Nintendo is branching out and chasing some fun ideas. Nintendo, obviously, at its core is a fun company, and I love the industrial design of this product, and I love the idea that they're going for. This is not necessarily going to be the alarm clock for me moving forward, but I very much appreciate the effort, and I hope that it finds its own audience and fan base that love it and keep it alive for years to come. So that's my review of the Nintendo Alarmo. Kind of a random product, but I really enjoyed reviewing it. I thought it was very interesting. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. There's a lot of little fun details that are included in the device, and I'm sure somebody has a question I did not answer. So with that, that is my video for this week, and I will see you guys next time.